Hi, it's Annalie. Today we are going to make a card using my favorite bunny, which is from the HoneyBee stamps collection. This is the Lovely Layers Rabbit, I believe it's called, and it's adorable. And I'm gonna mix in some flowers. These flowers are from the Narcissus layering die set from Altenew. And I'm not going to use the stems and the leaves, but I am going to use the flowers, and I'll probably throw in a different kind of leaf just for fun. So to start off, I'm going to color my flowers today with some Distress Oxides. So I'm going to go with worn lipstick, maybe some abandoned coral, and I think fresh berries. And I will start with that. And what I use these foam daubers. They just attach onto the handle with Velcro so that you can change them in and out whenever you want. So I have a pink one that I use for any of my pink ink, my pink Distress Oxide inks. I keep these brushes separate from any of the brushes that I use for any of the other inks. So I'm just going to start with this, and I'm going to do a light layer on all of the petals. There we go. Make sure none of those came up with it. Now I'm going to go in with Festive Berries. I'm going to use a smaller dauber. Even though this one's yellow, I'm going to use it for this. And I'm just going to kind of do the insides. I forgot the bud, didn't I? See, just by going over it, it softens the edges of where, see, it's kind of like a straight line right there. I don't want a straight line on my flower petals, so this just softens that edge and blends them together. I'll make these dried marigold for these. If you haven't used this before, this has a keyhole system, and that just means that each flower comes with a keyhole in the center. This is the layering guide on the back that shows you exactly which pieces go together, but you can also tell from the actual flower, this is what they're calling a short T. This short T will line up with this short T. And if there are multiple petals in the flower, then you just keep lining up the shapes that are the same. So this has a short T, it has a long T, it has an arrow, a keyhole, a triangle. Well, a keyhole, I guess this is a snowman. So you just find the ones that go together and you line them up. Following. So this also, just to show you, has a number 1 etched in it. So I know that this is the bottom layer. And then it shows you here that there's a number 2. Here it is. Here's the number 2 petal. So what I do is I just add the glue onto the back, right around that keyhole, and then you match up the shapes so that you can still see the shape through it for the next keyhole. I'm just going to let it sit for a second because this ink is still a little bit wet, so it's probably not going to stick real well. And then I can add this one on. And this one is basically just a guide for the next one, which would be this one. And I know that it goes to this one because it has the same outline. It has the same shape. So I know that one goes there. And then I'm going to look for, if you can see it, I'm going to look for this shaped center. So I see that it has 1, 2, 3 little jobbies sticking out from it. So I'm going to look for the one that's kind of a funny shape Is this the right one? Yep, that looks like the right one. And I'm going to just put the glue along the bottom. Some of these are much, much easier than others. But once you've done it a couple times, you get the gist of it, and it's really not that difficult. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to find this shape. And again, a lot of these have the numbers on each individual layer. This one doesn't because the layers are not covering each other up. So it looks to me like it is this shape. I'm going to come and put this on here. And there we have one beautiful flower. So to make the bunny, I'm going to start with these eyes just so that I don't lose them. They're tiny little eyes. And they do have an embossed area inside them to keep the sparkle in the eye. So I'm just going to gently go around and try not to get inside that little circle that's in there. So those are the eyes for the bunny. And then this is how the bunny will stack together. So sometimes it's helpful just to see what it's going to look like in the end. And I like to keep track of like where the darker parts are going to be. They're going to be the shadows, like where the layers come together. So I'm going to use this, and then this part will be pink because it's the inner part of the ear. So we'll just go ahead and color this cute little bunny. I'm going to start with the pink that I already used for the flowers, just to give a quick little tiny bit of pink on the inside of the ear, just like that. So I'm going to look at this. I think I like this for the majority of the bunny. And then I'm just going to go around the edges of his ears like this. I don't want to cover up all the pink, but there's some brown along the edges. And if you need a smaller blending brush, you can use that. And then here is also where the tail is going to stick out. So if you want a darker tail, you're going to want to make that part nice and dark. And I think I'm actually going to use some, maybe I'll use cocoa cream for the tail. Oh, look at that. I've gotten ink on his ear. Well, that's okay. There are ways to cover up all your mistakes. So this was the cocoa cream. I'm just going to go in and blend everything with the almond butter. And wherever it's etched, you can tell that that's the part that's going to be showing for the most part. I do notice that with this one, you are going to want to color inside between the legs because that will show. And because it's a shadow, I think I won't use the milk chocolate. I'll just stick with these two. Because it's the shadow, you want it a little bit darker. Yep. And then I just like to go in and add some detail. I'm going to make it a little bit darker under his chin. I'm going to make the feet a little bit darker, maybe one leg a little bit darker, a cheek. So for me, I don't like them to be all solid color. We'll stack this up and see how it looks. This one goes next. Good. It's going to cover up my splotch on the ear. And there we have a cute little bunny. I think it needs a little bit more of the almond right here in the front. And then we just layer it all together. This one goes in the smaller eyeball. This one goes in to the bigger one. And just look at that cute little face. Oh, it's the cutest little thing. Oh, I love him. So I'm going to use 2 of the Essential Modern Oval dies from Spellbinders. And I didn't pick the 2 closest together because that wouldn't have left much of a border. So I took the one size and then 2 sizes larger. So I'm just going to try to put these where they're going to be even all the way around. And I like to tape it just to keep it all in place. I don't use a lot of tape on my die cutting. I wing it, but for these, especially if I decide to cut 2 for stability, which I will probably do, it's better just to have the frames taped together. I took another panel and I lightly ink blended it with the same scattered straw Distress Oxide ink, and then I ran it through the Simus's Stamp Dainty Dotted Daisy embossing folder. Isn't that such a pretty folder? I love that. It just makes it so dainty and elegant. Because I didn't particularly like the leaves that came with the flower set, I chose to grab the Prairie Roses Altenew layering die set. I know they're roses leaves, but I just wanted something different, a little bit easier to layer. So I'm going to start with Silver Sage because I'm not sure if I want light leaves yet or if I want them a little bit bolder. So I'm just going to start with the light color and then we'll play and then we'll add color as needed. I'm going to bring this back in and we're just going to take a peek and see if we like it with the light. And I do think I'm going to want it just a little bit darker. Yeah, I'm going to add a little bit of a darker. I love this Silver Sage though, it's beautiful. I'm going to grab some eucalyptus. And you can tell I'm not too cautious about where I throw my color. I use my big brush and it goes wherever it wants. I generally try to do the base, the stems and the base of the leaves and leave the tips lighter, but that's just a general. It goes where it goes. And I'm even going to grab a little bit of forest green because I really like this color too. It's kind of almost like a turquoisey, and this I'm going to be a little bit more deliberate and put it just around the bases and maybe up the sides. But let's see if we even like that first before I do all of them. I won't do all of them, but we'll do some. And we'll leave the rest as is. I did attach 3 of these panels together to give it some dimension, save on my foam tape because I seem to be running low. So I just cut 3 of these and I knew that they were exactly the same because I used the tape on the dies themselves. So they stayed in the same spot. And now I'm just going to add this to the center. Because of the bumps from the embossing folder, I'm definitely going to let that dry for a bit. Some of these we will add with glue, some we will add with foam tape. What I like to do for my little animal eyes is I like to add some glossy accents just to the eyes, and it just makes them pop and shine. It makes them look a little bit more realistic. I just put that right over the eyes. You see how shiny they are? It gives them a little bit of life. I'll use my Stickles glitter glue. This one is, I don't know what color this one is. Doesn't matter, it's sparkly. And then I'll just add a little tiny bit of sparkle to the tips of the stamen. And here it is, all finished. Thanks for coming to play with me today. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you again soon.